Dwayne Povey, Chief Geologist from Pecan Mines, and his talk is on the Hawk's Nest project, Birds of a Feather. Welcome.
Firstly, thank you to the SAEMC Organising Committee and Peak Iron for the opportunity to present today on a bit of Peak's story. The disclaimer, I'll just read some of it so everyone can read it. Peak Iron is a privately owned and unlisted Australian iron ore mining company, development and exploration company headquartered in Adelaide with major projects located in South Australia. Most people will know Peak Iron has the peculiar knob, which I'll refer to as PK more locally, which is an iron ore hematite DSO operation. The mining workforce moved from PK in October this year over to the Buzzard operation, which is now the PK operation is in care and maintenance. Peak Iron operates in the Department of Defence, Amber Zones 1, 2 and the Green Zone. Amiak are our native title holders and iron ore is exported through the port of Whyalla. The Hawk's Nest Iron Ore Project, which is our main project going forward after Buzzard, is in with the Government Department of Energy and Mining and is currently in the assessment process, has been completed and we are awaiting our NTMA execution. Highlights reel for Peak Iron. Peak Iron was formed in 2019 and immediately purchased the Southern Iron and Central Iron assets from the Arium administration. PK was then restarted with reclamation of stockpiles and recommenced mining and export immediately. Over the next couple of years, the mining lease and pepper for Buzzard were lodged. Windy Valley Camp reconstructed in the almost same position as the Arium camp, and pre-strip and mining commenced on Buzzard. Drilling programs commenced at Hawk's Nest Iron Ore Project and the environmental studies kicked in. Present and future. As PK winds down after a 5-year mine life, the Buzzard operation ramps up to 3 million tonnes per year on a current mine schedule of 5 years. We hope with further exploration around the mining lease that we can increase this DSO mineral resource and extend mine life. Hawk's Nest Iron Ore is our project for the long-term future and we currently have a forecast 14-year mine life to start, with mineral resources supporting and extending mine life decades after the start and hopefully a few more Essendon premierships. Our current infrastructure we have on site or around the leases is the PK mine, our private 95-kilometre haul road to the Wirrada rail siding, our Buzzard mining operation and our Wirrada rail siding and Windy Valley Camp that currently supports roughly 208 people on site. Peak Iron are South Australia's largest iron ore producer and PK was one of the highest grade iron ore mines in Australia with a lump to fine ratio of 40 to 60% fines. Buzzard has replaced that PK production profile and it has a unique lump to fines ratio of 70% lump and 30% fines. I just wanted to take you back through, this was part of my research for the talk, was the discovery or nearby discovery of PK. I want to commend the previous stakeholders, explorers past and present, and all the old envelope records. Delhi Santos in the 1960s were the first recorded explorers and undertook some stratigraphic holes with 12 men and 6 Land Rovers. Newmont Dampier came in the 1970s and undertook ground gravity and magnetic surveys, came close but missed PK. It just highlights PK in the top left of the image with the Delhi Santos survey. Australian selection came in 1979, coming for Olympic Dam, but ended up driving out. They made the comments, the Proterozoic stratigraphy is unlikely to exist at shallow depth on this licence area, and no other geophysical targets of interest are present. It is recommended the licence be relinquished. CRA then came in 1981 and undertook airborne surveys with targets of copper and diamonds. The PK anomaly was highlighted in 1982 with the first drill hole 83 ERC14 drilled on the 27th of March 1983. But no further work is recommended. Rework and remodelling of the geophysics was undertaken obviously during the 84 Olympics with a follow-up hole drilled in 1985 which intersected 50 metres at 62% iron from 23 metres downhole. Iron ore prices were sitting around the $25 US per tonne through most of the 80s and 90s, so PK remained dormant. Focus shifted to metals, exploration joint ventures with Burmine, the Sons of Gwalia, and Poseidon, Normandy, in the mid-90s, and they identified an anomaly called Uranus, and that later became known as Prominent Hill, 24 kilometres southeast of PK. The South Australian Steel and Energy and the Mines and Energy Department, which is now DEM, drilled 14 holes into PK in 1995. PK is a massive specular hematite which can be accounted for by the remnant magnetism and by remnant magnetite within the hematite. Leaching out of the silica and concentration of an iron produced a coarse mosaic of specular hematite, 0.3 to 0.4 millimetres in size, with remnant banding and some residual magnetite. The Mines and Energy Department inferred a mineral resource of 13.9 million tonnes at 63.2% with an SG of 5. Mineral claims and the mineral lease were lodged in the early zeros, and Western Plains then took PK to BFS, and Arium bought Western Plains in 2011 and commenced mining and export through to 2015 before iron ore prices plummeted and forced PK into care and maintenance. Administration came later for Arium, and Peak acquired the assets. That was the final cut at PK, that picture there. Hawk's Nest, birds of a feather. This is our flagship project. So this is just some very detailed drone magnetic surveys we've got over the Hawk's Nest lease. In the top right is the Buzzard mining lease, and the blue line is the Greater Hawk's Nest iron ore project. Birds of a feather, Hawk's Nest is defined by buzzard, kite and kestrel deposits. Eagle, falcon, goshawk and harrier are still chicks in the nest. The total current mineral resource estimate is 2.2 billion tonnes at 33%. Just defining those resources, not all deposits are currently reported in accordance with JORC. However, we are very much aligned with the JORC code in our drilling and sampling protocols, and mineral resource estimates will be validated and quality controlled. One of our inherited issues geologically was the vast majority of historic logging in the lithology column was BIF, no differentiation between hematite or magnetite. Some of the drill holes were drilled short and finish in 60% plus mineralisation. And since taking over Hawk's Nest Iron Ore Project, Peak Iron has drilled some 40,000 metres of dominantly into kite and buzzard and minor drilling into kestrel, eagle and falcon. In conjunction with the GSSA, we are looking at the age of mineralisation of the banded iron formations and correlations to other BIFs. The upgrading of some of the magnetite, particularly into kite of greater than 65%, is what we call DSM, or direct shipping magnetite. And this could correlate to the intrusion of a hill-to-pursuit granite that has remobilised iron, possibly from the primary BIF, or a contribution from the hill-to-pursuit hydrothermal fluids. Inclusive of our indicated mineral resource, kite does not contain DSO hematite but DSM magnetite. We've defined currently around a 26 million tonne resource at 62% iron in the kite deposit. Buzzard will operate for the next few years at 3 million tonnes on a 5-year mine life with potential extensions. Kite will come online and add 3 million tonnes to the Buzzard kite profile, taking it up to a 6 million tonne operation. As Buzzard winds down, kite will ramp up to 6 million tonnes per annum through its 14-year currently operating mine life. The product will be transported through Peak Iron's established logistics network to the Port of Whyalla for export and or support the Whyalla operations. Now the fun stuff. At Kite, there is clear evidence for the 2 generations of magnetite, one being the primary BIF magnetite banded iron formation, and it's related to possibly Archean to Paleoproterozoic age. The second magnetite is the DSM, which is related to a Mesoproterozoic, or the Hilterbersweet event, which is metasomatic alteration process that have locally upgraded the magnetite. The Hilterbersweet granite in the bottom left has been dated at 1591 with a green rock alteration dated at 1586, the apatite. Ongoing investigations across Kite and Hawk's Nest to determine enrichment is associated with thermal input from Hilterbersweet intrusions, or alternatively related to mafic fluids and magmatic differentiation processes that may have driven the remobilisation of magnetite, to a lesser extent magnetite upgrading at Kite compared to Kestrel compared to the Kite DSM. So their primary BIF, you can see, has got a late brittle faulting that's disrupting some of the magnetite bands. Looking ahead, we'll look to do some extension drilling around the Buzzard mine site to define extra DSO hematite resources on the Buzzard mining lease. We'll submit our Hawk's Nest pepper next year on the event that the mining lease will be granted early next year. We'll continue our metallurgical refinement and start doing on-site test work, target further DSM materials around the Hawk's Nest iron ore project. Infrastructure studies and associated with increased magnetite production from Hawk's Nest will also take part of that. And as a geologist, this is something you don't really get to witness or observe greatly in anyone's career or one's career, but I was lucky enough to be on site for the first load of ore that dumped on the crusher pad. And that's the Eagle deposit.